Hi guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today we are going to do some budget planning. So we are going to review the week of November 18th and then talk a little bit about what's coming up for the week of November 25th. So I set this budget planner up a couple of weeks ago, and there's a channel on this video with that setup. This is my 2025 planner, and I wanted to go ahead and start using it in 2024 so that I can see what's working, what's not working, where I need to make adjustments and all of that good stuff, because this approach I'm taking is new for me. And so I'm glad that I did that, because I definitely have already found places where I need to make some adjustments. And I'm keeping track of that. And so, yeah, but these are all inserts. And so I just create these, print them, and insert them into my planner. The structure of this planner is a Happy Planner plans and notes that I got off Amazon. All right, so let's get right into it. So guys, let me just be frank with you. It was a struggle last week for me. If you've watched my other couple of budgeting videos, you know that I'm trying to change how I budget and really just be more intentional about how I'm spending money and where it's going and all those good places. And honestly, for me, it was a challenge. Let me just say that. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's a little bit of everybody, because I mean, it's the holidays. And so for me, it's really hard to stay on a budget during the holidays, especially when you don't save for the holidays. And I should have saved, and I didn't. And so I find myself going back and forth, adjusting budgets all over the place, because I'm doing my holiday spending out of my regular income. And that's not where I want to be, which is one of the reasons I've made so many changes for 2025, because I don't want to be there again. But that being said, November 18th, like I said, the week of November 18th, which was last week, I'm filming this on the 23rd. I had a ton of expenses. I usually do not have this many expenses during the week. I actually had to use one of my notes pages in the back to create an extension page to my weekly expenses. And I understand why I have the expenses preparing for the holidays, getting ready for a trip. I understand all that, but it still doesn't mean that it didn't cause some anxiety. So yeah, you can just see that on my expense tracker, I do track my expenses daily, and I had a lot of expenses. One thing I did realize that I am going to have to change in 2025 is that I desperately do need to use categories. I didn't think I did when I set up this planner. I thought, hey, I don't need to break down my categories to a really high degree of detail. I can just have the general kind of high level categories like transportation, personal, bills, and call it a day, because I can do that. Well, y'all, let me tell you, when I do that, I just put everything in personal, and that is not good for a couple of reasons. One, I'm constantly going over my personal budget. I'm not budgeting enough in personal because I'm putting everything in personal. And then 3, I am using personal to hide my spending. I'm just being real. What I mean by that is, if I go to the store and I want to buy something and I'm like, oh, well, that's not in the budget. Oh, that's okay. I'll just put it in personal. And so it goes in personal. And then the next thing you know, I have 20 personal expenses. I have not itemized what those expenses are, so I don't even know really what I spent the money on. And I call it okay because it's in personal. That's a no. I have to stop doing that. And so that is one of the changes that I'm making. I kind of don't want to do it, but my goal for 2025 is to be more intentional. And so I'm going to have to break down these categories. In other words, I can't just have personal. I need to have health. I need to have beauty. I need to have a personal category, but I need to break all this other stuff out, right? And so, yeah, that's one big change. So I'm going to be using the highlight method. I'm going to have my categories, and I'm going to update that. And I kind of realized that this week when everything was just going into personal. And if I look back over my weeks in my monthly summaries, I will see that each week I'm not budgeting enough for personal, and I'm going over. Each week I'm in the negative on personal. And that is because I'm putting everything in personal that doesn't belong in personal. I just am. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I really wanted to say about the week of the 18th. It was a week of realizations. I did struggle during this week, and it's very interesting because I didn't struggle because I didn't have the money to pay bills or buy food or whatever. I didn't have those struggles. I struggled because I almost had an overflow of money, and I was just spending it. And, you know, even though I had a budget, I was still just spending. And I was really anxious every day about whether or not I was spending money appropriately. And at the end of the week, I actually was, but that's not the point. The point is the stress and the anxiety during the week because things were not clear to me. So that's why I do budgeting. That's why I do planning. It's not to provide restrictions. Like the saying up here says, a budget doesn't limit you, it gives you freedom. And I didn't have freedom last week because I was worried and anxious every single day. Well, it didn't matter if I had the money or if I didn't have the money. I was just anxious because I had not planned well. And that's really what I'm trying to change in 2025. So that's how the week of the 18th went. Technically, I pretty much stayed on budget for all my categories. But again, that's really not the point, is it? It's how do you feel when you're doing it? Right? Is, you know, that's the point. And so I have some changes to make as I reset this for 2025. Not major changes, but definitely bringing in those categories and using the category method. So let's talk about the November 25th week. So for November 25th, I've already set up my week, and it's not a lot going on, but I did go in and I put in my category amounts. So for November 25th, I have budgeted for the main categories that I spend money in during the week. Grocery, personal, entertainment, transportation, eating out, and gifts. So gifts is a new one for me this week. In this planner, I leave one box open, and you can rename any of these, honestly, and I will probably in 2025. But I leave one box open for anything unexpected. And so since this is going into the Christmas holidays and I'm buying a lot of Christmas gifts, I needed to track that. Something else I realized last week when I had all that anxiety. I had money budgeted for Christmas, but I didn't have it written down anywhere. And so I was buying Christmas gifts all over the place. Then I stopped in the middle of the week because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be over budget. It was just a mess. So this week I made sure to put a category for gifts so that I know how much money I'm supposed to spend for this week on gifts. So I went over the key bills, not all of the bills, but the key bills that I really need to be aware of for this week. I have a little bit of a meal plan. And then I'm ready to start entering transactions. So a big expense for me this week, though, is that I am going on vacation the day after Thanksgiving. So kind of like a mini vacation, and that's going to be a fairly large expense. It's not written down here because I keep a separate travel budget, and so I have been saving for that budget in my savings, one of my savings challenges. So the 30-day challenge is I started this at the beginning of November to save specifically for this trip at the end of November. And so I'm almost at my goal, as you can see. My goal, I think it was $3,000, and I'm almost there. So all of the funds for that trip are going to come out of that budget, not my regular expense budget. But as I usually do, I updated my 30-day challenge. Since I do not use cash envelopes, the way I work this out is as I save, I transfer money into one account that I call Sinking and Challenge Funds. And that's a specific savings account. And so every time I make a deposit, I come in and I do an entry. So you see on November 21st, I made a deposit into that account. This represents that savings account for me. And I put the category, which it was a challenge, the description, it was the 30-day challenge, and the amount that I deposit into that account and the balance in that account. And that way I know how much money in the account goes toward what specific challenge. And that is how I replicate the cash envelopes digitally, right? Because I don't deal in cash. And then I also have in the front of my planner, I keep a list of all the active challenges and goals so that I know which ones I've completed and what the money is allotted for in that account. So in this case, I'm working on the 30-day challenge because it was the one coming up really the quickest, if I'm being honest with you. And then I started a $1,000 challenge at the beginning of November as well. I haven't done much on that one. And I have a $2,500 challenge, which is not due until the end of January. So that's how I use my challenge sheets, even though I don't use the cash envelope system. The other thing I want to talk about is what's happening with my Christmas budget. So that $1,000 challenge was for Christmas, truthfully. But it's honestly, guys, it's too late. If you have not, for me, it's too late. I have not saved for Christmas. So trying to save for Christmas now and also spending at the same time, it was just too much. It was too overwhelming for me. And I think that's where my anxiety came from last week. And I had to just stop and say, like, you know what? I didn't save all year for Christmas. I am just going to have to buy these Christmas gifts when I can buy the Christmas gifts and put it in my regular budget. And that has already relieved so much stress just going into this week, knowing that I am just putting it into my regular budget because I didn't save for it. And so it's not coming out of a special savings account. It's just coming out of my normal expenses. That's what I want to get away from in 2025. But right now I'm not there. And so I kind of adjusted this challenge sheet so that it's not a challenge anymore. It's really just kind of like a running list. On one side, I have a list of all the gifts that I want to buy. Now, this seems like a lot. I do not have any kids. I have one nephew and 3 nieces. My nephew is grown and my nieces are preteens and teens. So this seems like a lot, but if I'm going to buy like my niece 3 things, she has 3 entries in here. So that's why it's so much. And then of course I have like, you know, my parents and my siblings. And I do have 5 siblings, but yeah, so people have multiple entries. So it's not like I'm trying to buy out the stores or anything. But this is a list of everything that I need to buy for Christmas. And then on the other side, I'm keeping a running total of when I buy it and how much I spend. I had to do that because it was driving me crazy last week, just being really honest with you. And I know that this was the source of my anxiety. So yeah, that is what it looks like right now. That's what I have going on for the end of November. I am excited about December. I have already started prepping for December. The next video I post will probably be setting up the month of December. So thanks so much for watching this video. That's it for today, you guys. I'll just close and say, don't be afraid to make adjustments in your budget as you need to. If you do not have peace of mind as you're working on your budget, or if your budget is causing you anxiety, that is clearly a sign that something needs to change. Overall, I am very happy with how I've set up this budget, what I'm looking forward to in 2025. I'm excited about that. I just need to make some tweaks here or there, more in my process, and just getting used to doing things a different way, getting into the habit of doing things a different way, which is why I really wanted to start this in November so that I could be ready to rock and roll in 2025. So going through the struggle now, and hopefully in 2025 it'll be a lot smoother. So thank you guys so much for watching this, and have a good day.